Welcome to this video, which I also hope will serve as a message to the British Broadcasting Corporation, BBC for short. So, by way of background, when I lived in Nigeria, my father used to follow the BBC. So he listened to a lot of news reports on the BBC on the radio. And I've pretty much followed in that tradition. Obviously, I use the website and I watch the BBC on TV as well as listen to the BBC on the radio. So you could say that I've been a lifelong supporter of the BBC. I do, however, think that in reporting on his website of recent, and perhaps maybe not so recent, I haven't checked back beyond August of last year. I think the BBC has made a very big mistake in its reporting about Nigeria, and I'm hoping that when they see this video that they will correct that mistake and take the articles down off the website. So by way of background, the BBC has been reporting about Nigeria for many years, so they must be aware of what's going on in the country. And to give you some examples of what's going on in Nigeria at the moment, there are many people in Nigeria that are saying that Nigeria is on the verge of a second civil war. So it's that serious. Things have been serious in Nigeria for a very long time, but I think the events in the last maybe couple of years have taken a turn that many of us have never seen in our lifetimes previously. So to give you an example of some of the events that have been going on in Nigeria, one of them would be the NSAS protest. And this started in October of 2020. It's not the first time in Nigeria that people have protested against the Special Anti-Robbery Squad, which that's what SARS stands for. It has nothing to do with the pandemic. And hence the hashtag that you'll see all over social media, which says hashtag #EndSARS. So the protest started off peacefully, at least this last version of it that started in October of 2020. It started off very peacefully and it carried on peacefully. And very soon there were lots of very, very big Nigerian stars that supported it. And then global stars supported the protest. So it kept on gaining momentum, but it was peaceful. And when the Nigerian government realized that there was no way that they could shut it down, they decided to go in with the army and they shot peaceful protesters on the 20th of October 2020. I was one of those watching the shooting on an Instagram live feed. It was a night that I personally would never forget. The sad thing is that the families who've lost people were not even allowed to bury their dead because the soldiers took the bodies away with them. So there's a lot more that I can say about that, but that's not the purpose of this video, so I'll move on. The next thing that's going on in Nigeria concerns killer herdsmen. Now, there's been a lot of talk about avoiding profiling particular tribes, but it has to be said that majority of these herdsmen are Fulani. So what's happened is that Nigerian citizens are being terrorized by these herdsmen. So typically they live a nomadic lifestyle, they have cows, and they wander into people's private property, private farmlands, and then there's a clash, and then lives are lost. So to give you some examples, there accurate stories about these herdsmen wandering into people's farmlands, eating up the crops, and then when they're challenged by the owners, they get extremely aggressive. And by aggressive, I mean that they use machetes. There's a woman who was reportedly sexually attacked, really violently sexually attacked, and then it didn't end there because they hacked her body into pieces. There's another story about a German Nigerian who had worked in Germany for many, many years and then decided to move back to Nigeria with his savings and go into farming. And then these herdsmen kept on wandering onto his farm, damaging his crops, really just devastating his farms. And then he would try and reason with them. And on one occasion, when he went to have a discussion with them, they just kidnapped him and they murdered him. So these are very, very serious events going on in Nigeria. Now, it has to be said that the other thing that must be mentioned about these Fulani herdsmen is that they carry AK-47s as well as the machetes. And these sorts of AK-47s, lots of Nigerians have commented that these guns are army issue. So they're weapons that Nigerian soldiers should be carrying, not herdsmen. So what it's dawned on Nigerians in general is that this is a calculated attempt on the part of these herdsmen to grab land, because what they seem to want to do is to terrorize the people to such an extent that they abandon their farmlands and ancestral lands as well. And then the Fulani herdsmen sort of take over. We've seen this trend. This has been going on in the north of Nigeria. It's traveled down the middle belt and is now reached the south. So the third point that I want to touch on is kidnapping. Now, there are two strands to this, in my opinion. There's one strand that deals with that the Nigerian government gets involved in. So to give you an example that you might be aware of, you might be aware of the kidnapping of the Chibok girls. I believe that was as far back as 2014. And I remember that Michelle Obama, the first lady of the former president of the US, Barack Obama, was very, very vocal in her support for the campaign to have these girls returned. So some of the girls have been returned. Some of them haven't. Again, I'm not going to go into that in more detail. Suffice to say that that trend has continued in Nigeria. So every other day there's a story about a group of school kids or a group of passengers, or as the case may be, they're kidnapped. It hits the headlines. Everybody feels terrorized about it. Nigerians feel terrorized about it. Nigerians abroad, like myself, are very distressed by the news. And then somebody from the Nigerian government steps in. They carry out negotiations and a ransom is paid. And then the kids, maybe most of them or some of them are released. And then the cycle repeats. So it's got to such an extent that Nigerians are pondering that why is it that with all the international help, for instance, with the Chibok girls, the Nigerian government wasn't able to locate any of these children. So why is it that particular individuals, in this instance, the gentleman that's hitting the news is a man called Sheikh Gumi. And Nigerians don't understand why this man has all this knowledge and knows these bandits, and yet none of these criminals have been apprehended. So what most Nigerians are thinking is that, and I'm of that opinion as well, I'll be honest about that, is that it must be a government business. So it must be the case that a group of bandits, they kidnap individuals and then they ask for a ransom. I think the last time I checked the news, the last ransom that they demanded was something like 500 million naira to be paid. And then Sheikh Gumi stepped in and carried out negotiations, and what the figure floating around amongst the Nigerian community is that 800 million naira was paid. And then what Nigerians believe is that this money is now shared amongst the negotiators, the bandits, members of the government, and so on and so forth. The tragic thing about all of this money is that Nigeria is flat broke, no money. The Nigerian government, the incompetent Nigerian government that exists at the moment, is just going from pillar to post, borrowing money hand over fist that Nigerians are not even getting the benefit of. They have mortgaged the future of young people in Nigeria for many, many, many years to come. So this is the situation that we're facing. That money it not only goes to bandits, but is being used to buy weapons and to damage and terrorize Nigerians. And they're stockpiling the cash, which is just going to go back into the black market for terrorism and so on and so forth. So There's a very serious side to it. Then let me talk about the small scale kidnapping. And in talking about this, I have to mention a gentleman who went back to visit Nigeria. He actually went back to Nigeria apparently to attend a funeral. And he was on his way back to the States. He was an American Nigerian, and he was on his way back, returning back to the States when the bandits apprehended him. And apparently he was made to walk through the forest. And when he fell down from exhaustion, they just shot him. And another family is left grieving. So this is a problem that affects those in the diaspora who maybe are not so familiar with the lay of the land and possibly stick out. And that has meant that a lot of Nigerians don't feel that it's safe for them to return home to visit or to live or work. So the next point I want to talk about concerns private security. So with all this insecurity going in Nigeria, the question is, do Nigerians adopt the American style where everyone has the right to bear a firearm or any other sort of weapon for self-defense? What do we do? Now, in some, I won't call this a state, I'll say a group of states, Yoruba states, they, I believe in January of 2020, set up a security network called Amotekun. Amotekun is not particularly trusted by the locals, it would appear, because the Fulani-dominated Nigerian government insisted on having a say within Amotekun. So which means that the locals don't trust Amotekun, and it's basically a toothless dog in effect. There has been a lot of insecurity issues in Yoruba land, and I know that their talks and arrangements are being made to sort of beef up security. But at the moment, the point I'm making is that the extra security outfit that they set up called Amotekun hasn't worked. Now, if around different parts of Nigeria, there's security outfits being set up. But the one that I want to focus most is the one called the Eastern Security Network. And that was set up by Nnamdi Kanu, who is the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra. I knew I'd stumble on that. But so that's been, the Nigerian government is obsessed with the Eastern Security Network. I'll call it ESN for short. Completely obsessed. Last week, being Thursday, the 18th of February, there were helicopters in the east of Nigeria, in particular a place called Olu in Imo State. There were helicopters there, there was firing, apparently people have lost their lives. So you have to ask yourself, if the Nigerian police and the army, they won't step up and support their citizens, then why are they going after a security network that has stepped up to the plate to look after these people? So when you take all of this together, you can see why Nigerians think that the Nigerian government is the terrorist, and the Nigerian government is Boko Haram, and the Nigerian government is behind the land grab that is disguised as Fulani herdsmen and cattle clashing with local farmers. So that brings me to one more point that I have to make. You have to ask yourself in the BBC, for instance, you're out there advertising roles for these soldiers in the Nigerian army. What you need to know is that in the Nigerian army at the moment, if you are a soldier in the Nigerian army and you're not from the north, particularly you're not from Fulani descent, then you're just cannon fodder. Because what, for instance, let's go back to the example I gave of the Chibok girls. The US got involved with the Nigerian army and tried to help the Nigerian army to find the kidnappers, as well as locate terrorists like Boko Haram. Now, what the US found is that every time that they set up, maybe say an ambush or a sting, there were always moles within the Nigerian army that would inform the targets that look, they're on their way and they're going to be here at this so and so time. And what happened is that innocent Nigerian soldiers died in these ambushes. Most of the Nigerian soldiers that died in these ambushes, they happened to be Southerners. So they would be Yoruba or they would be Igbo or any of the other smaller tribes, as long as they weren't from the north. They weren't, as in, they weren't Fulani and possibly Hausa descent. I don't know whether to include the Hausas in this because they have been completely run over as well by the Fulani clan. So again, it's like without racially profiling any one tribe, we also have to be honest and say and call a spade a spade. And it does appear at the moment that the BBC, in assisting the Nigerian army to recruit new soldiers, you're putting these soldiers' lives at risk if they join the army, and it's possible they will join the army. There's grinding poverty in Nigeria at the moment, and people are desperate and they take whatever work they can. And there might be people that think that they may be better just taking a chance, taking a job with the Nigerian army, and they lose their lives as cannon fodder. That's not something that the BBC should be assisting with or signing up to. So those are my points. I hope that this video resonates with you. And if you are watching it, please tag the BBC into this. It may be the case that they're not aware. I hope that's the case. And if that's the case, that the BBC is not aware and has made an honest mistake, then please take these articles down. I'll link all the articles I can find in the description box so you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I'll try as well in the thumbnail for this video to use some of the artwork that the BBC has used in their on their website, so that they can use that as a reference point. So if you got to the end of this video, thank you very much for watching. It's not the most pleasant video to watch. I do recognize that, but it's very important because lives are depending on what we do in this difficult time. So thanks again very much for watching. Please click like of the video if you found it helpful, and share it with your family and friends. And I'll see you in my next one. Bye for now.